You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and I'm joined, as always, by your co-host, Kevin and Alex. We got Alex 2 weeks in a row. I don't know what to do with myself.
Hey, me either.
So, Alex, I got to give you kudos because, even though the Broncos are the hometown team, all that good stuff, honestly, we probably should have followed your lead last night and watched the defending world champs, defending Stanley Cup champs, defending Stanley Cup champions play. It would have been far better for, I think, our mental health and psyche than watching the Broncos play.
It was a great night up until about 9:30 when that Avs game ended, 9:30 Central Time when that Avs game ended, and I was like, oh, hey, the Broncos game is still on. I deliberately avoided watching that game, so I thought watching the Avs would be a better decision. Anybody who's listened to the podcast know, diehard Avs fan here, and so it was a better decision. The Avs are playing very well right out of the gate, 2-1. Their lone loss was never ever going to be a win because it was the second night. It was a back-to-back, and it was Calgary's home opener. So that was never gonna happen. Calgary was juiced up; they were ready to go. But this Avs team looking good. They don't have their captain yet. He's still coming back off of an injury. Anyways, I digress.
We promised we're going to talk about football.
Yeah, we'll talk football. And the reason, and honestly, guys, after we watched Los Angeles' one-legged kicker boot through the game winner, I actually opened up my phone to write my breakup letter with the Broncos.
Oh, tell me we get to experience that tonight.
We don't, because You know what? They're not worth my time. And so I'm done watching the Broncos this year. I will not seek out the Denver Broncos games if they happen to be on somewhere, or if I happen to be somewhere and the game is on. I am not going to actively seek out watching the Denver Broncos. And specifically, if I never have to watch the Broncos offense in the red zone ever again, I can die a happy man, because it is just terrible. And we were talking before we started. The defense is otherworldly. The Denver Broncos defense is otherworldly. They have played so well. And Derek, you brought up the good point. They've given up, aside from the game against Las Vegas, they've given up 17. 17 is the most points they've given up in regulation. They gave up 19, obviously, against the Chargers on Monday night. But To only give up that many points and then to watch your offense. I mean, you guys saw the clip of Jerry Jeudy and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Melvin Gordon. Sorry. Melvin Gordon. They're on the sideline in overtime, and Melvin Gordon wasn't in the game, and Jeudy was just complaining. And I was like, yeah, you have every right to be super upset, because we brought in a quarterback.
Let's be honest. Jerry Jeudy is part of that.
He is part of the problem. He is part of the problem. I will not
look at that. He was touted as this great route runner out of college. I have yet to see him really make some good, clean routes.
But
and the ball hits him square in the hands, open with separation, and it falls on the ground.
It has been just an absolutely frustrating time watching this Broncos offense. And I'll tell you what, I'm done with it. And if I happen to catch a game on, I'll check the scores every once in a while. Obviously, I'm still invested with fantasy, purposes, but as far as watching a game from start to finish, I'm not doing that. And Kevin, I know you unfortunately have an investment in Broncos games, and I'm sure you are counting down the number of times you have to witness that offense in person. But the problem is you can't sell. Who's going to pay to go to that?
Oh, the visiting team.
Oh, there you go.
The visiting team.
Their money still spends.
Their money still spent. And you know what? It is what it is. But I walked back upstairs, and I turned the game. I watched the entire game up until the muff punt. And after I was holding out hope. Ugly win is a win. We're going to take it any way we can get it. And then the muff punt. And I turned the TV off, and I pouted my way upstairs. And my lovely wife was in bed, and she kind of rolls over and she goes, "Did they win?" I said, "Nope, they lost." I said, "And every single home game that's left, we need to start selling those damn tickets right now." She goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "Abso-freaking-lutely." Like, I'm not going to waste 8 hours of my Sunday, right? By the time you have to leave, you go down, you maybe have a cold one in the parking lot, whatever that is. You walk up to the stadium, you sit through a 3 to 4 hour football game. Then you spend another 45 minutes walking back to your vehicle. Then you're stuck in traffic in these parking lots trying to get out for another 30, 40 minutes. And then it's another hour plus back home. Like, it's an 8 hour adventure for me. Like, I leave at 11:30 and I get home at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Like, it's just, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to invest that much time and effort into this team when that is the effort that we get with them playing a sport where they make millions of dollars. I'm so frustrated with the Denver Broncos. I can't even see straight right now.
By the way, just so not to belabor the point here, because we all saw that awful excuse of a football game on the offensive side of the ball. But the interesting thing to me is the use of their last timeout on that one, right? You know that the Chargers are going to try and kick a field goal. They've got a kicker with a bum leg that every time he goes to try and kick the ball, you see him fall on the ground, do the grimace thing, all of that kind of stuff. Like, this was one of those that they took the timeout as they were getting ready to line up there. And yes, I get you're trying to preserve clock. You're trying to do some of that stuff, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he makes this field goal, you lose. Why wouldn't you do that thing that we always see where they line up, the coach calls the timeout right as the ball is snapped, and you see the kicker, go out there and kick it anyway. And in that situation, right, like just playing some gamesmanship there a little bit, but in that situation, if you've got a kicker that's having a hard time, even standing up making kicks, why wouldn't you go through that one and make him redo that thing after, putting a little paint on that leg, so to speak? But yeah, that was just an interesting thought on yet another poor game management by the head coach there.
Because our head coach is a dipshit.
It would require foresight and, thought process.
I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm like, why are you doing this? Why? Tell me why. This doesn't make sense. Like, the scenario I just played out, that's the way you play that movement, that motion there, that move.
I didn't think it could get worse than what Josh McDaniels did to this team. and I think this might be worse. Like, he is clearly worse than Vance Joseph, who I couldn't stand, and Vic Fangio, who I couldn't stand after one season. And we're stuck with this guy. Like, Nathaniel Hackett must have sold the best bill of goods in this interview process that we have ever seen, y'all. Like, how is he a head coach and Eric Bieniemy isn't?
Right.
Like, just for starters, how is he a head coach and Eric Bieniemy isn't? I know I talked about this last week, and I think I even touched on the Friday show again. And now this is what I'm holding my hope for. I'm hoping the Broncos fire Nathaniel Hackett like week 10. Just be done with it. And then we go out and pay Sean Payton $10 to $12 million a season, like $1 million a season. Give him the most lucrative deal a head coach has ever had and say, please fix us, we're broken. Right? Like, please fix us, we're broken. Because at that point, if Sean Payton can't get anything out of Russell Wilson, what's $10 or $12 million a season when you've pissed away $250 million? Right.
And Matt Rule's no longer in Carolina to send, quarterbacks to, so to get anything out of. But anyway, let's unless we've got some other points here. I see a bunch of questions coming in here.
We can move on from this.
I was going to say we can spend an hour filling this one out.
I could spend the whole time just complaining,
working ourselves up for no reason.
All righty. Well, you know what? It is time for the mailbag, and that's where we're going to start. I see a bunch of questions in the chat here. We did have a couple come in here, but let's go ahead and get things kicked off here with Week 7 Fantasy Mailbag. First question that came in, Coach Craig Sports over on Twitter, do we get a better Thursday night football game?
This week?
So, yes. I think so as well. So you've got this is a game where we'll probably see 2 touchdowns scored in it. I'm going to go out on a limb and just say we see at least 2 touchdowns scored in this one. So
well, now hold on here. What are we saying is a good Thursday night football game?
Anything better than anything that's entertaining. The last 2 weeks have sucked.
Right?
They've been close.
Somebody
but
put
it's
it out
sloppy. Like
I know. They haven't
something
been
that
decided
doesn't
until the end
have
of the game.
18 combined penalties. Something that has a little bit of explosive play built in. I'm not asking for the Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills game. I'm simply asking for hell, I'd settle for the Atlanta Falcons San Francisco 49ers game this past weekend.
Yeah.
Like, give us something that we look at and go, hey, that was pretty cool. Or, hey, did you see that on the game last night? Like, have you asked that question over the last 2 weeks?
No, my things have been what Al Michaels is saying on the broadcast there about, hey, did you hear Al Michaels bash the network he's working for?
He has been dogging that.
Yeah, or the games that he's having to do. Like, that's been the most entertaining part.
I think we do get a better Thursday night game. If nothing else, it's 2 teams that really, really need a win. 2 teams with explosive players, right? I mean, realistically, we've got, a good quarterback. Kyler Murray's he's an explosive quarterback, right? Anything can happen on any play with Kyler Murray. And I think we get
you get DeAndre Hopkins back too, most likely.
Hopkins. So at least there'll be some intrigue there. Whether or not the football is
and Robbie Anderson.
Good.
There could be a Robbie sighting.
There could be a Robbie sighting, which I mean, boy, like not since what's his face down there in Tampa? Have we seen
Antonio Brown?
There you go. Have we seen
not since last season? Have you seen that? Huh?
It's been a half of a season,
right?
Since we've seen a wide receiver go full diva and get kicked off the team. I think it will be a better Thursday night game. If for nothing else, that I have to keep holding out hope that those Thursday night games will be fun. Here's the exciting part, and I don't know if you guys saw this today. There's going to be a Black Friday football game next year on Amazon. They announced that today, so we'll get the
and what a turd that's going to be. It's probably going to be like the Texans Broncos round 2.
Probably. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if they can talk the NFL into making it a marquee matchup. But again, that's tough to tell. You don't know what teams are going to be like. What is that, week 12? No, not quite. But somewhere in that 10 to 12.
It needs to be divisional, right? Like it needs to be Steelers, Ravens, or something in the NFC
Even Bengals,
North.
Ravens would be
Ravens. Like that's part of what makes these Thanksgiving Day games so good, right? It's Bears, or Bears, Packers. It's Lions, Packers, or Lions, Bears, or it's Cowboys and Commanders, or something like that. Like.
Right.
You need something. And so now you're going to have 3 games on Thursday and 1 on Friday. It just needs to stay in the division. Like even Chiefs Chargers would be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What I hope it doesn't do is take away from what is an excellent college football day. And that I hope it doesn't do. And I don't think it will. I think there's an audience for everything.
At least
who plays college football on Black Friday?
Oh, there are good longtime rivalries such as Nebraska, Iowa.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, there's
riveting.
that would almost be as good to watch as
Wake Forest and NC State.
Is the Iron Bowl on that Friday?
No. SEC does not play games unless it's on Saturday.
Yes. That's in your major conferences outside of some New Year's Day and some of those bowl games. Your major conferences typically don't play on any day.
Well, every once in a while you got Texas Tech or something like that, right? Like I mean. Right. Barf. Yes. It's not that good. It's entertaining because it's football.
It's football, not great. and you're sleeping. You're still groggy from all the turkey from the day before, so it is nice. But yeah, I'm excited about a Black Friday NFL game. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Comment coming in on that one. Terry in the comments there. Black Friday game will be Denver versus Chicago. The 2 teams they play on every primetime game. Yeah, let's not see that one ever.
No.
I feel you, Terry.
Kicking themselves right now because they thought that Denver was going to be so good and they put them in like every primetime spot and it has just backfired spectacularly.
Yeah. It is it has been a whole thing lately. So, alrighty. Next question coming in here. Leadership lessons saying they need a streaming tight end. What are you thinking here?
I think the well's kind of run dry because by now, most teams, because of injuries, most of these teams are hoarding 2 tight ends now.
Right.
Like, it is going to be tough streaming tight ends. So,
Robert Tonyan is still available out there, about 35% of leagues.
Evan Ingram, maybe.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas, if he comes back from injury, possibly. Right. A lot of people gave up on him.
I wouldn't mind playing Greg Dulcich.
You really think he's going to see more than 2 or 3 targets? And
don't let that one.
I don't know that he's going to get in the end zone again. I mean,
maybe. You look at it. He was involved. He and Jerry Jeudy were involved in about the same number of routes run in that game last night.
Daniel Bellinger.
Yes.
Like there's an option, right? Kind of a deep, dark throw. Pick one of the Seattle tight ends. It's
either
a gamble.
Disley or Fant, yeah.
Yeah, but that's but it's Mo Alley Cox for a streamer this week. Like it's tight this week. A lot of these guys have been picked up and stashed away. So tight end, you really needed to grab that tight end like 2-3 weeks ago.
Right. If all things are pointing that Tua plays this week, but if for some reason he doesn't go, and Teddy Two Gloves is your quarterback in Miami, Mike Gesicki is a potential play there as well. So we've seen Teddy Bridgewater really target tight ends out there. So that could be a potential play for you. Any other thoughts on a streaming tight end?
Good luck.
Not this week. It's tough.
Yes. All right. Mr. COD Reaper's in the chat here. He's telling us a little bit about his team. So he's coming off of an uninspired performance. Reaper was lost by 34 points, it looks like. Accomplished by taking down the appointments 3-3. All righty. I'm just trying to read through this thing and be able to summarize it then.
Thank you for the recap, Mr. COD Reaper. We appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Well, Mr. COD Reaper started off the season pretty. I couldn't remember, Kevin, if he started off 0-4 or 1-3, but it looks like he's kind of starting to bounce back there a little bit. That sounds like he ended up getting the comeback win on that one. Needed a night from Justin Herbert with enough points there and ended up getting the job done there. So congrats, Mr. COD Reaper, moving to 2-4. And I think he was 0-4 to start the season. Again, that's one of the things we tell y'all. Don't give up on these things and stick with it, and you can pull some stuff out there.
Realistically, we're at the halfway point, right, of the fantasy season, right
next
around
week.
The halfway point. Yeah, next
week. After this
halfway.
week, we'll be at the halfway point.
Yeah. So like while here's how you can look at it. If your team is 2-4, 3-3, whatever it might be, look, you lost 4 of the first 6 games. Who's to say you can't win 4 of the next 6 and get you right back into it? So. With the way this season is going, like it has been just absolute bonkers, both in real NFL and in fantasy, where certain players have not lived up to the expectations that we thought. Certain teams haven't lived up to the expectations that we thought. If you lost 4 of the first 6, guess what? You have just as good of an opportunity to win 4 of the next 6. And I would be shocked if there's anybody in your league who's really running away with things right now, because it has been kind of a topsy-turvy league.
Apparently somebody in that league got a little upset there, dropped out of the league and picked, dropped all sorts of players like Eckler, Amari Cooper, Bateman, Kirk Cousins. He picked those ones up there. He was saying that the Denver and Chargers game had him hyped, kept me on the edge of the seat, especially in overtime yesterday.
You were the only one.
Yeah. As a Denver fan, I do not co-sign that one there.
We knew how that song was going to end.
Yes. But he is saying that every Tuesday night, y'all are my fantasy news, and he enjoys that.
Let's say it's watching.
And he enjoys what we do, and he really appreciates it. He's going to keep us posted on how his team's progressing through the playoffs, all of that. Absolutely, Mr. COD Reaper. You let us know, and we'll help you along where we can. Alrighty. Stacks App in the chat here asking the best streaming defense special teams this week. What you thinking here?
The Jets against the Broncos.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be a low-scoring game. You can guarantee that.
Yes.
Jets against the Broncos. I think Miami at
That was the
home
one I was
against
thinking.
Pittsburgh on Sunday night's a good streaming defense this week. As we're kind of moving in and out of bye weeks, you can generally find a lot of, I don't know, I'm not going to say tasty, but above average matchups. The Raiders
Packers.
at home against Houston. I'm not trusting the Packers. The way they just played these last 2 weeks.
That's fair, but it is
I
the
thought the
Commanders without
Packers had
Carson Wentz.
I hear you, but I thought the Packers 2 weeks ago, Derek and I were pounding the table for the Packers because they set up with the Giants, the Jets, the Commanders.
Yeah.
And we're saying, look, you can pick up the Packers, you can run them for a few weeks before they, kind of get back into some of the grind and make some way on this. And boy, were we wrong. Like, I'm not trusting the Packers at all.
Absolutely. But no, I like that. I like the Miami defense special teams, right? Owned in like 20% of leagues out there. That's one I really like there.
Raiders isn't a bad play. They got the Texans at home this week. I know they're bad, but they're at home.
That's just two bad teams that tend to and they could put up some points there. So
that's fair. That is fair.
At least with the Jets, Kevin hit that one spot on when he was going through that. The Broncos aren't going to put up more than 15 points in that game. So
no, they're not.
I mean, shoot, and that Russell Wilson's not going to have a tough time eclipsing 200 yards passing, and that rushing attack might get to 80 yards. So I mean, you're going to keep him under 300, probably under 300 total yards and under 15 points. That's not a bad day from your defense and special teams there. So, and who knows? Especially if a guy named Melvin Gordon manages to find his way back in the lineup again. You could get some opportunistic Jets, scoring some fumbles there. Quinnen Williams and I think Russell Wilson are going to meet up a couple of different times there in the backfield. So who knows how that one looks, but that could be a very good one there. Bill was saying that Greg Dulcich looked good in that game. He did certainly kind of break out and looked pretty good in that on a couple of plays there. Super C&B ballers, Olave, Mike Williams, or Christian Kirk. Looks like it's a full point PPR this week. I'm assuming it's pick one, but let's go ahead and we'll just go through and rank them 1, 2, 3. What's your ranks on this one?
Williams, then Olave if he plays. It's a Thursday night game though, so you got to be really careful about that. And then Christian Kirk.
I feel, and honestly, I feel like you catch a break because you'll know, like one of these guys gets eliminated from, it's either he plays on Thursday or he doesn't. But because it's like questionable, it kind of walks himself out of this question. So to me, it's between Williams and Kirk, and I would go Williams then Kirk. Olave
cleared concussion protocol today. So
sure, but it's Thursday. It's a Thursday game.
Right. He cleared concussion protocol. And it looked like he actually got a full practice in on Friday last week. Wasn't able to fully clear and go. So he's been with the team. He's been putting in some practices here and there and fully cleared today. I don't have a problem taking a shot on Chris Olave. In fact, I probably will be taking a shot playing him in our home league this week. Mike Williams against Seattle, that's a pretty decent matchup there. So I think I'm going to go Christian Kirk, then Mike Williams, Olave, Christian Kirk is how I'm probably going to play that myself there. So like the question, Super C&B challengers. Terry, fade all Broncos. What should I do with Sutton? What would you guys be doing with Sutton? I know that we've got him in a few leagues, and what are you looking to do?
I think I'm holding on to Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton is still a viable flex play most weeks. Now, the Chargers do have a good defense. They have not been playing wonderfully. They have a lot of injuries, but their corners are still really good, right? Like
Samuel and
so Sutton being shut down doesn't overly surprise me. I expected him to see more than 3 targets, but I mean, good Lord, when Russell's getting smacked before he even hits his back foot on a 3-step drop, it does make it difficult. So I'm not freaking out about Courtland Sutton just yet. This was his first bad game of the year. He had been viable up until this point. Everybody's due a bad game. I mean, we've suffered through Keenan Allen being out the last 3 weeks. We suffered through Amon-Ra St. Brown being out the last 3 weeks. At least Sutton was available for you. Right. So he's not the surefire wide receiver 2, I think, that we believed he could have been when the season started. I think he's more of a flex play, but he's going to help out with bye weeks coming up. And the bad thing about Sutton is, unless you're playing with like a real Homer Bronco fan,
you're not going to get anything.
You're not going to get anything because it is the Broncos. Like, people already have that stigma, and it doesn't matter that Courtland Sutton's still a top 24 wide receiver. Like, he's put up the numbers for you. But you're not going to get anything, especially after this game. So you got to hold him, cross your fingers that Russ finds him, and they consistently sees, 7-8 targets a game and can come down with 5 or 6 catches and, 85 yards and a touchdown.
That's the point that I was going to make. Is I'm not sure that if you move off of Sutton, you're going to get a decent enough return. So I think you just hold him and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, this was his first game where he saw less than 7 targets in a game, right? Like, this is just one of those that it was every other game. Russ has been hyper focused on him, keyed in on that one. So I'm still fine holding on to Courtland Sutton. Yeah, flex play, potential wide receiver 2 type of fill in. And on the season, he's still wide receiver 21, even after that bad game. So he's still a top 24 wide receiver. And you're certainly not going to return value on that one. Like, that's one of those that if you're trying to move Courtland Sutton, you might be lucky. I mean, who are you going to realistically get to come in on that? Curtis Samuel, maybe, who's been on the decline there. Devin Duvernay, Josh Reynolds. Like, you're trading down at that point if you're moving off of him. So Terry saying there's no saving Russ. I would tend to agree with you. Bill in the chat. Good to see you again in the chat, Bill. The linebacker Singleton was flying around the ball. Liked him. Yeah, he played a pretty darn good game. Most of those Broncos players on the defensive side.
The thing about Singleton his snap count is greatly reduced when Josie Jewell plays. So right. Jewell was out on Monday night. So that's why Alex Singleton played so much. And he flies around. I still think he's wonky in pass coverage. Like, he just seems to kind of miss a beat a little bit. Luckily, he wasn't asked to do a whole lot of pass protection. He was rushing a whole lot, and they were putting enough pressure on Herbert that he didn't have to follow Gerald Everett around a whole hell of a lot. He was able to kind of free range in that middle linebacker position. But as good as Singleton played, I think his snap count's going to be cut back when Jewell comes in. So you just got to be careful about that if you're looking at him in IDP league.
Again, we have no issue with anybody who plays defense for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Well, and Bill's a Broncos fan as well, right? He's told us that in the chat before. And so, I think he's
better be. He played for him, damn it.
I think he's talking more as a Denver Broncos fan, trying to find a silver lining there on that one. So, Terry saying that the Cardinals suck. New Orleans is sporadic. The Thursday night game will be a flop. You may not be wrong there. The Cards scored 3 points against Seattle. That was one of those that when you and I were going through the Friday show, Kevin, we were thinking that had the real possibility of being the highest scoring game of the week. And boy, oh boy, did that not come to pass.
Yeah. And show me someone who called that. Right. Called that bad of a game. No one did. Everyone was saying, start Geno, start Kyler, start these guys. No one's playing defense. And we got a defensive battle. So, yes, it was a flop. Yes, it was ugly. But no one in fantasy football, period, whether you're Matthew Berry or us, right? It was calling that game to be a flop. Everyone thought you had a potential to be really high scoring and start your fantasy players in that matchup.
And in real life, like, bettors took it in the shorts this last weekend. It was not a good weekend.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Francisco over on YouTube. I think this might be the first time we've seen Francisco in the chat. Welcome in. Thanks for the comment here. Let's go ahead and look at this. Brees and Lamb for Kupp, Connor, and Rondell Moore. He has Eckler, Walker, Devontae, and Godwin. Are you making that trade?
Brees and Lamb.
I think I might.
Kupp, Connor, and Rondell Moore. I think I might do that also. Like, giving up Cooper Kupp
is going to hurt. Dak coming back for CD, I think, is beneficial. Brees is greater than Connor. And while Rondell Moore has been involved, and we may see him a little bit more involved here with the Hollywood injury, like he's been getting good target share. It just, not much down the field.
Yeah, it's all short route stuff. You're trying to get the yards after catch and everything else. I think I do this. I don't trust the fact that LA's offensive line is going to hold up for Matt Stafford. And if he gets dinged up and misses time, Cooper Kupp's value, unfortunately, is going to take a massive hit. There's no one who can feed Cooper Kupp on the Rams roster outside of Matt Stafford. No one is going to feed Cooper Kupp the way he is currently being targeted.
Nope.
I like the way that Brees Hall is surpassing all expectations I had for him. And running back depth, especially through bye weeks and everything else, is always a great thing to have. Connor's been dinged up. I think I make this trade. I think I want Brees and Lamb.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's one of those that when you look at that as well, right? Like you'll be starting Brees and Eckler, and you'll be starting most likely Devontae and Lamb, and then you can kind of play in your flex between Godwin and Walker, and kind of get your matchups there and go about it that way. So I like it. I like that one. So any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Terry saying that the Jets are the best streaming defense. Yep, that was something we covered just a moment ago. Mr. COD Reaper was telling us that he won his first game and then lost the rest. So he started off 1-4. He's now 2-4. He's on the trajectory there, on the upward trend. I like it. Terry asking us to pick two: Brees Hall versus Denver, DeAndre Swift against Dallas, and Cortland Sutton versus the Jets. I think I'm going Swift and Hall.
Yeah, the guaranteed volumes there. I think that's where you're at. With the game that Sutton just had, this is where you need to be cautious. I think you're taking Brees Hall and DeAndre Swift. Yes, the Denver defense has been crazy good, but they have – look at Josh Jacobs. They have been gashed in the run game a little bit. Eckler got him. I mean, He didn't go off necessarily, but he caught a ton of balls. Brees can catch balls out of the backfield. And you figure that Zach Wilson's going to be under a lot of pressure, so he's going to want to get it out of his hands quickly. Swift, after the bye week, you expect him back. Again, Cowboys defense is ferocious. Jared Goff is going to be having to get out of his hands quick, so these receiving backs do have a lot of value against these heavy pass rushing defenses. Right. So I'm going Swift and Brees Hall.
Yep. Oh, and Swift, highly efficient as well, right? Like he's one of those guys that doesn't need a ton of volume, ton of to do that. He can break off a big play and break off a busted play there type of thing. So I like that one as well. So, yep. Francisco, we read that one wrong. He is giving up Brees Hall and Lamb for Kupp, Connor, and Rondell Moore. What do you think? My answer is still the same. I still want Brees Hall and CD Lamb over the bevy of Kupp, Connor, and Rondell. So that's what we think on that one. Mr. COD Ripper, new roster for week 7: Herbert, Henry, Eckler, Cooper, Olave, Pitts, Walker, Meyer, Chargers. Bench, he's got Cousins, Myers, Montgomery, Singletary, Bateman, Rams. Any changes you're kind of making there off of the start team lineup?
You got a lot of Chargers there.
I'd be probably trying to, I don't know, Kyle Pitts anymore that's a rough one to try and go with.
He's only got the 2. He's got Herbert and Eckler. What are you guys worried about?
Chargers D.
Oh, the
no, I said, I said Kyle Pitts is the guy that I'd be
It's the Chargers defense, honestly, that I'd be looking to upgrade. I mean,
Yeah,
seeing if there's anything on streaming that you can pick up.
Same thing with the Rams defense. They've been a little suspect.
They've been suspect, and they're on a bye. I mean, I think that's really where it is. If you can get something for Pitts, then great. Go get something for Pitts. But if not, I have to imagine that sooner or later he will continue to get more involved in this offense. He's just too good to be ignored. But that just hasn't happened yet. So you might just have to deal with some frustration, but you're so good everywhere else. I think you can deal with Kyle Pitts having a bad game because you have, 2 top 5 backs. I think Eckler's number 1 after this past week in at least in full point. And half point, he might still be number 2. Cooper is top 12 here at the moment. He's been targeted a ton, so you like that. Delaney Walker. Am I thinking that right? He's starting 2 tight ends, Delaney Walker and
I think that's Ken Walker.
Ken Walker
in a flex position.
Now it's confusing me.
Yeah, I think
Ken
Walker's.
Walker
I think it's Ken Walker in a flex. Myers the kicker, and then the Chargers D.
Okay. So yeah, I think you can deal with a subpar tight end performance. Pitts got looped in with the rest of them now. Pitts is no different than, Tyler Conklin or Irv Smith Jr. for now, or even Hayden Hurst or Gerald Everett to some extent, Evan Ingram. Like Pitts is he's one of those guys now. You're not upgrading necessarily, so you might as well keep the talent on your roster and hope it hits.
Right. So I like that one. I like the way that you have that roster set. And I think that, the fact that you've got Henry and Eckler, I think those guys are going to carry you through a lot of games there on that one. Francisco saying that he would have Eckler, Walker, Kupp, Devontae, and Godwin. Yeah, I'm still not giving up Breece Hall and CeeDee Lamb to go out there and do that, right? Like, I get the appeal of putting Cooper Kupp on there and having Devontae and Godwin, but unless this is a massive PPR type of league or I get massive bonus points for receptions, I don't want that. I don't want to give up that depth that I'd be giving up at the running back position, because realistically with Eckler, Breece Hall, and Walker, you potentially have what are going to be 2 top 10 running backs most likely when the season's all done, and a third guy that could easily finish inside the top 24 at this point, to go out and get 2 set it and forget it type of wide receivers, and give Godwin and the Bucks catch on there. Like I get the appeal to that, but I'd rather have the depth on the other play. Any other thoughts there?
Cosign.
Cool. Francisco asking, would you go Higbee or Goddard?
I'd rather have Goddard, but both are on a bye this week. So
yeah, both are on bye. So let's answer it in the way of rest of the season.
Goddard.
Yeah.
Goddard.
Yeah, I would agree. They've got the he's just involved in that. Philadelphia is finding ways to win. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a ton of Dallas Goddard, and I didn't even. So many leagues, right? And then we do all these things. I didn't start realizing it until a couple weeks ago, where I was like, "Man, I'm tight end's doing okay." Here we go. What's going on? It's like, holy crap! I got a lot of Dallas Goddard in the 9th and 10th round, and it has paid off big time by missing that first 2 waves of tight ends. And then going and picking up Goddard or hell, even Ertz for a lot of different, the first few weeks here of the season. Like waiting on tight end, if you weren't dead set on getting Andrews or Kelsey, has definitely paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. COD Reaper saying thank you. And Terry asking, Geno versus the Chargers or Matt Ryan versus Tennessee? Who you like as a QB matchup this week?
Man, I think
I'll take Matt Ryan. Like he's for some way he is putting up numbers, right? Like he's putting up the numbers. I think I'd take Matt Ryan.
He's putting up numbers, especially when Jonathan Taylor misses and they throw the ball 50 times. So
Sure.
Yeah, that's one of those that when you look at it, Matt Ryan has the better matchup there, going against Tennessee than what Geno's doing against the Chargers there. Geno's going to dink and dunk down there. You may see Matt Ryan, stretch the ball a little bit more so. So I think on that one, Terry, I'm really keeping an eye on what Jonathan Taylor is going to do. And if Jonathan Taylor is suiting up, ready to go on this one, I probably lean the Geno route a little bit more so than the Matt Ryan. Kevin, you got to be tiebreaker there.
Yeah, I just was seeing how the Chargers just shut down the Broncos wide receivers. And yes, the Broncos are terrible offensively. They're going to have the same types of issues here. And I just trust Matt Ryan more than Geno. And I know Geno statistically has put it up, but did the Cardinals expose the Seahawks a little bit last week with that game plan? Right? Like, did that card? Am I thinking that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, I'm leaning Matt Ryan by a hair. I'm not going to fault you if you want to go Geno because he's played better overall to this point, but for this week, I'm leaning Matt Ryan.
All righty. So the consensus is Matt Ryan there for you, Terry. Mr. Reaper, Titans D. I think that's back in reference to over the Chargers or the Rams. This week, I think I'd rather go out and play the Jets versus the Broncos. They should be available on your waiver wire. Any other thoughts on Titans D?
It's not a bad flyer. The Colts have struggled in division here lately. And it's a home game for Tennessee. So I can buy off on that. I think it's probably about even here this week, but how they've played year to date, I think I like Tennessee by a hair.
Okay. Need to Lockett versus the Chargers, Cooper versus Baltimore, or Sutton versus the Jets.
For sure, Cooper versus Baltimore.
I co-sign on Cooper completely.
I would go Lockett.
I'm going Sutton just because Alex is typically wrong on these.
That's a very good position to take, Kevin. That's a very good position to take.
Yeah, I think Sutton's the guy there, and then I'm going to take Cooper as well. So consensus of Cooper and Sutton on that one, Terry. Alrighty, Mr. COD Reaper, Jets is taken. I tell you what, COD, why don't you just tell us, who's available on your waiver wire with your for your defenses, and we can help you pick one out there. Swavey JP, I'm thinking of offering Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook for Jonathan Taylor and Jalen Hurts. I'm 5-1, thinking long term. The only quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, have good running back depth. Thoughts on this one? Swavey, I'm assuming that this is a single QB league.
I'd like to know who else you have on the waiver wire, because I'm all for trying to upgrade over Russell Wilson. But I don't know, with Taylor being nicked up and really how he was playing even before he got nicked up, if I want to give up Nick Chubb right now. Like Nick Chubb, yes, it was a bad week against the Patriots, but everyone kind of has a bad week against the Pats. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to give that up. And Dalvin Cook has been more and more involved the last few weeks in this Vikings offense. I really like Jalen Hurts there. Don't get me wrong. But I'm a sucker for running back depth. And I know you have it, but I think as the season goes on, you're going to want it.
Yeah, I think I would, especially in a single QB league, I think I'm right there with you, Kevin. I think I'd rather stream something than try and go that route there. Giving up two guys that have been looking very good lately. For a guy that, I would hold off on that one and see what's available on the waiver wire there for you, Swavey. I'm sure that you can probably find Find somebody out there that would be a better bet than that there. I mean, even if it's, shoot, maybe Matt Ryan's out there for you. It's, maybe a little bit of a lateral move with some better upside. But anyway, just a thought there. All right. Godwin and David Montgomery for Cook and a low-end flex. Who wins? It really depends on who the low-end flex is.
I would rather have Godwin and Montgomery.
Right.
Montgomery, as good as Dalvin Cook is better than David Montgomery, but Godwin is Tom Brady's guy when all things are right. You figure Tampa Bay, of any of these teams who've kind of struggled out of the gate, will be able to put it together. And you've held on to Godwin this long, dealt with the injury, coming back, and I think I'm going to ride that out. I just like being able to know I have those two guys who you basically know you're going to start week in and week out.
Cosign. All right, Sayer. Should I trade Mark Andrews for Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, Zach Ertz? He says that he needs receivers. He's weak on them. So Mark Andrews for Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, Zach Ertz. I'm not going to make that move. I'm hanging on to Mark Andrews. If you look at it on total points scored and half-point PPR scoring, right, which is what we kind of base everything off of when we do this thing, Mark Andrews has scored you 95.3 points in half-point PPR scoring. That would put him ahead of Jamar Chase in total points scored for fantasy this year. It would put him ahead of Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, right? Put you just behind Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. So that's the company that he's keeping for you there. So I understand that you're weak on receivers, but there's some things that you can go out to potentially try and do on that one. Let's see what's kind of available out there on the waiver wire. Let's see what's available there. Keenan Allen, when he comes back, maybe he is really the secret to fully unlocking Justin Herbert there. But Devontae Smith is you've almost got that you got to pick who's going to be the guy. Is it going to be an A.J. Brown week? Is it going to be a Devontae Smith week? And Zach Ertz been banged up here down the stretch as well. So I'd be looking what else might be out there. What are the thoughts we have?
I think I'm going to co-sign. I think I'd rather have Andrews, and that's a really good point. The Andrews is basically a wide receiver. So the points that you're giving up at tight end, or the points that you're feel insufficient at wide receiver, you're just going to turn around and give up those points at tight end again, even with this matchup. And yeah, I'd rather have Andrews and just try and stream through some wide receiver twos as I need to here through the bye weeks.
Right. Like you sit there and think about it too. Here's a different way to look at this one, Sayer. Mark Andrews putting up almost 16 points a week. Zach Ertz has been averaging about 10 points a game. So you're talking about a 6-point differential there that you would have to make up at the tight end position with your wide receivers there. And unless you really have, without knowing what your wide receivers are and what's available on the waiver wire, it's tough to say that you're going to have a tough time making those points up, but you very well might have a tough time making those points up there on a differential side of things. So I'm taking the guy that's a big positional advantage. All righty. Swavey, Trevor Lawrence is on waiver. So that was back to that question on replacing Russell Wilson.
I would.
Yep.
I'm okay with Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
I really am. I'm okay with that.
Agreed. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a top 12 quarterback at this point in the season. And he's got some decent matchups coming down the stretch here, especially lately, right? Like you get week 7, Giants, a little bit tough, Denver, a little bit tough, but then you get Vegas, Kansas City, the bye, they come out and you're going to see Detroit and Baltimore. So, I mean, you've got 4 really good matchups there over the next 6 weeks for a streaming type of quarterback there. So I like it, especially a guy that's already putting up QB1 numbers for you. So, Mr. COD Reaper, his options on the waiver: Cardinals, Giants, Titans. What do you like there for a pickup on defense between those 3 options? I think I'd lean the Giants, actually. They're playing Jacksonville this week.
On the road, though.
That's true.
Titans or Chargers. Like I said, it's a hair's difference, so whatever you want. But those are the two I'd be looking at.
All right, there we go. Swavey asking Mixon or Cook rest of season, full point PPR. Thanks, guys. I'm going to take Mixon in the volume. And nobody's getting the very few people out there getting the kind of volume that Joe Mixon is getting out there, and he's one of the few running backs that seems to get stronger as the game goes along. The more opportunities he gets.
Yeah, eventually he's got to be able to break a couple loose, right, and have that positive regression that he's been bottled up here for the season. So I'm going to lean Mixon because I think, yeah, I'm going to lean Mixon here, but only by a hair rest of season. And if you'd rather have Cook, I'm not going to blame you.
Fair enough. Tight end, who do you like better, Tanyan, Gesicki, Njoku?
Tanyan.
Njoku.
I lean Njoku as well on that one. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and we're going to hit up the next part of this thing. And guys, again, if you have any questions, anything like that, go ahead and throw them out there. We'll answer them as we go along here. We're going to talk in about some trophy smack here. And here at the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast, we're all about cash and trophies. And now you can get a completely customized trophy for your fantasy football league at trophysmack.com. You can find the link to that down in the description on both the YouTube and the audio podcasts out there as well. You want to belt a winner's ring? Trophy Smack has you covered. Check it out on that link in the description. Alrighty, guys. So we've got to cover our pine and shines for last week and call them out. Let's go ahead and start with the pines.
All right, I'll start. I said to pine James Robinson, which I feel like, I didn't check. How did I do, Derek?
You went 1-1 last week. I think you hit on James Robinson.
I missed on Melvin Gordon. I said to pine James Robinson, and that worked out nicely for me.
Yep. I called for Tyler Algier. I'm going to call that a hit on that one. Not a good game. Even with Kevin chiding me saying that I was taking the low hanging fruit, I followed that up with Joe Mixon saying he would underperform on that one. So I feel like I got like 1.5 on that one. Both of those guys certainly, Tyler Algier definitely didn't live up to it. And Joe Mixon had a kind of forget it week this last week here, especially when he was ranked where he was ranked going into that week.
Fair enough. I had said pine Najee Harris. He snuck it to the end zone at the beginning of the game, and that was about all she wrote. So he's probably about right at where the rankings were after the last couple of weeks because he got in the end zone. So I'm going to leave it up to panel decision.
I gave it to you. I would say I think I gave that one to you, and or when I was looking through that, I think we all went 1-1 this week.
Fair enough.
All right, Alex, tell us about your shine and how wonderful that was.
For this week or for last week? Last week I said Melvin Gordon. He had 3 carries for 8 yards.
Yes. Alrighty.
So here's the problem, though. God, this Denver team is so damn frustrating. They ran 51 plays. That's it. That's all they got was 51 plays. You've got to be kidding me. That's terrible. That is unbelievably terrible.
Yes, that's
plays.
That's terrible. That's terrible right there.
Yeah, this Broncos offense.
Yeah, I called for Jeff Wilson Jr. to have a fantastic game for you, and he finished with half a point in PPR, like half point PPR. Finished with a half of a point out there, and yuck.
Yeah, mine wasn't a whole lot better. I said Jacoby Myers would shine, and he did not. It was a stinker.
Yeah, I mean, he got you, about 8 points and a half point PPR. So a little bit rough there. So we all go in 1-1 this last week. Alex, that moves you to 7-3. I'm 6-4. Kevin 6-4. And I think this is the week that we're going to get you here. And and see what we can do on this one.
Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, you never know. All righty, guys, let's go ahead and I see some questions coming in the chat. We're going to hit up the Thursday night preview here real quick, and then we'll hit some chats before we get into the monkey knife fight here. So Thursday night football, you've got the Arizona Cardinals facing off against the New Orleans Saints. Arizona's favored by 1.5 on this one, and the over-under's 45. What are your thoughts here?
God, over-under's 45? How the hell did we get to that?
All right. Because it's Thursday night football, Kevin, and the last two have been 12-9 and 12-7. That's why it's 45. They still want people to take action on these games.
Under Saints. And that's about all I have to say for it.
I'm going Saints plus 1.5 and the under.
You know what? We'll have just a full unanimous here saying the under and the Saints on that one. I've been saying for a while, though, that y'all need to be getting on the under on these Thursday night games dating back to last year, because those ones kept hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting for me. So watch, I say that, and now we see a shootout down there in the desert. Like, that's just the way that stuff seems to work, apparently. But nonetheless, so, we're all calling for the Saints to cover or to get that 1.5 and the under on that one. I have a feeling that we're in for a game, and that's just kind of where we're at there. So Mr. COD Reaper saying that he dropped Pitts for an Njoku on that one. I think at this time, you can move on from that one, and that he's just going to keep the defense that he has. So he's going to play the Chargers there. I like it. All right. Trade Diggs for Hall and Sutton. Ooh. You always bring the fire on these ones, bring the heat on this one. I don't know that I'm going to give up the number one wide receiver for fantasy. Even with
real desperate at running back.
Yeah, I mean, even with as hot as your Breece Hall has kind of come on and done lately, Stephon Diggs even outpacing Cooper Kupp in total fantasy points there. So I'm gonna take the guy that's got the better offense and all that. I have Kupp though too. That's right, Gitz. You've got just a stacked team. I remember that one. That changes the narrative for me maybe a little bit there. But what are your running backs? Are Saquon and Walker?
You're fine. You don't need to get rid of Stephon Diggs for
right.
Ball.
Gitz, is this like an 8-person team or a 10-person? Or
here's the deal, Gitz. Just run away with the championship, okay? You don't make moves just to make moves.
Yeah, sometimes making some of these moves, the smarter move is to it's a 12-person league.
Wow.
Yeah,
good job.
you drafted incredibly well, my friend.
Good job.
That's how. I just saw your next comment coming in here, saying he's 1-5 though.
How?
I'm very curious and very intrigued. Give me some more details on this league. Are we talking super flex? Are we talking like single QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, flex, like all of that? Give me some of the details on this one, and let's see what we can do on that one, because I don't know how in the world with Saquon, Ken Walker.
I can understand Ken Walker, but
right, because it was a last week thing, but with both Diggs and Kupp, like that should have carried you through on a lot of weeks there. So
you have no quarterback.
All righty, we got some details here. 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, defense, and kicker.
Man, yeah, I think you've just had bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, who's your QB? Who's your tight end? And who have you been playing as a flex most weeks? And who's your 3rd wide receiver? That's kind of what I want to know there. And let's see what we can do on kind of helping out with that.
Realistically, though, okay, so you haven't had a quarterback.
Yeah, so Dak, Saquon, Ken Walker III, Kupp, Diggs, Godwin, Schultz, London. So you haven't had a tight end really, and you haven't had a quarterback there. And I think both of those change pretty dramatically this week going forward. London has not been a bad play for you at flex. So I like your roster here.
Who's your backup? You haven't just been playing Dak, right? Like, because Dak hasn't been playing.
Right.
if you've had Dak in there, I can understand 1 and 5. But who's your backup quarterback?
So he's been playing Jacoby Myers in London for his flex. I tell you what. When Kevin hops back on here, let's rock and roll that one a little bit more. And we're going to dive a little deeper into that one for you, because I think there's some gold here to mine on that one. I think you're going to be doing very well. AJ Dillon, J.K. Dobbin, which one would you drop if you had to? Oh, if I've got to drop one, I'm not going to lie. The J.K. Dobbins knee is worrying me a little bit with the fact that, it tightened up here this last week with him playing. Kenyon Drake looked phenomenal in that game.
I don't think the Ravens don't need to play J.K. Dobbins, right?
Correct.
Like, they don't need to play him. If it was a need, I can understand, but they've got options. So if I had to drop one, I'm dropping J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, it would be the same way I would roll on that one as well, Swavey. So, Kevin, we got Gitz has got a one we're going to dive into here pretty deep on in just a second. But real quick, rest of the season, J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillon, which one are you dropping if you've got to?
Ooh.
I think I'm taking Dobbins, and Alex was kind of on the same page.
We're dropping Dobbins.
Right. We're dropping Dobbins simply from the standpoint that, he's got that knee kind of flaring up again a little bit, and the Ravens don't necessarily need to use him, especially with the fact that you just had Kenyon Drake look good this last week.
I can subscribe to that, I think. Man, that's kind of a bummer that you have to drop either one of them, at least even just for depth. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dobbins is probably the right drop.
Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to get a couple of these questions in here, and then we're going to dive into that one, into your question there. Terrence asking, should I start Hayden Hurst or pick up a streamer tight end like Noah Fant, Logan Thomas, or the Bucks' Cade Otton on that one? I'm probably rolling with Hayden Hurst.
That's what I'm rolling.
So, Alex, any varying thoughts on that? Okay. I should have started Broncos or Ravens defense like y'all told me. Lost my matchup by 3 because I started the Jags defense. Well, I'm sorry that you lost your matchup there. All right, so Kevin, here's the question that Gitz has. Trade Stephon Diggs for Breece Hall and Cortland Sutton. Initially said no, but we found out this bit of information that he has Cooper Kupp as well, though. His running backs are Saquon and Ken Walker. It's in a 12-person league. He's off to a bit of a rough start, 1-5 with that. And the way that the lineup kind of sets, it's 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, defense, and a kicker. Kind of his starting lineup that he's been kind of rolling out there, or that he plans on rolling out there going forward, is Dak, Saquon, Ken Walker III, Kupp, Diggs, Godwin, Schultz, London. He's also been playing Myers, switching between Myers and London, streaming QBs with Dak going down on that one. So with some of that info there, are you going back to the initial deal of trading Stephon Diggs for Breece Hall and Cortland Sutton?
No.
Okay.
Not in the 3. If it was a 2 wide receiver start, yes. With it being a 3 wide receiver start, no. I want Kupp and Diggs. And this week's going to hurt because both of them are on buys, and I understand that. But get past this week. I mean, Saquon's your RB.
I don't know that he can afford to get past this week.
Yeah, I mean, if he's sitting 1-5 right now, and he's got a
Sutton against the Jets with the way Wilson's playing is not guaranteeing you a win. Like, exactly. You're just filling roster spots. So
I just think you've run into a string of bad luck there, Gitz. It is so unfortunate that you are 1-5 because your team should not be 1-5.
Sutton, Kenneth Walker. Now that Walker's playing, that should help you.
Right.
Godwin's back. That should help you. Schultz has really killed you because of his injuries. Yes. Like, I'd be looking to kind of figure what you have on the waiver wire there for tight ends to kind of have something better. to help out with those Schultz injuries, and then with Dak back, like you got injury bugged, right? But you got it early. Like, I mean, you did that and you got it early, and there's nothing to say that your opponents aren't going to get it late in the season. I would roll with where you're at. Like, I really like Breece Hall, but I don't like Breece Hall more than Stephon Diggs and having the best piece of the Buffalo offense.
Yeah. Right. And that's kind of where I'm at as well. I want the high powered guy that is putting up some of the most points out there when it comes to it. Right. So, Stephon Diggs outside of quarterback has the most fantasy points of any player in half-point PPR scoring. He's and Cooper Kupp as well. So you got the two highest scoring players outside of the quarterback position. So, alrighty. So yeah, there's Alex. Any other thoughts on that one? Are you?
He's got more info for us. Conklin's on his bench.
Otton, Thomas, Bellinger on the waivers.
Play
Conklin. I wouldn't mind picking up Bellinger there. I think that we've seen Tyler Conklin's run of fantasy darlinghood kind of run its course.
Probably fair.
Here, right? Like
Broncos defense this week, right?
Right. But Tyler Conklin needed Joe Flacco. Like that was the key to somebody throwing him all around somebody throwing the ball all around the yard there. So he's saying that guy has Ertz. Should I ask for all three of them for Diggs? I don't know that even does enough to move me off of that.
You're giving up so much, giving up Stephon Diggs. And I know you're 1-5, but man, is this a keeper league by chance, Gitz? I just can't see moving off of Stephon Diggs.
No, I'm not doing it. And it sucks, but I'm not doing it.
Right. I mean,
if you're giving up Diggs for
you're giving
Austin
up
Eckler. Well, if you're giving up Diggs for Austin Eckler, like, okay, I can see where you're wanting to do that, and maybe that's where you need to try targeting. Like, if you're giving up the number one wide receiver to this point, you should be getting a top, 3 running back in return, especially in a 3 wide receiver league, because the value of these wide receivers is elevated.
Right.
Take a quarterback in there, will you?
He's got Dak. He's fine. He'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, that's what I would be looking at for Diggs. And then you can run with Kupp and Godwin and London or Myers or whatever might be streaming that week that you need to pick up to help yourself out. But that's the level that I would be asking for Diggs, not Breece Hall. As nice as he is, he's not a top 3 back.
No, he's number 6 right now in half-point PPR scoring. So,
yeah,
I mean, at that point, if you're going to do that, you need Breece Hall, and you need to, be getting back. You need to be getting back almost another top 12 wide receiver out there, right? Because there is a massive difference, even when you go from the number 1 wide receiver down to like the number 8 wide receiver. Like there's a massive point differential that happens at that kind of spread there. So where you're talking almost 8 points a game. So, yeah, I'm still not doing it, Gitz. And I get that you're frustrated. I'm not moving. All righty. Let's see here. Kind of lost my spot. All right, there we go. Terrence asking which tight end is the better rest of season. I guess I'm confused as to which. Oh, we answered that one earlier when he was asking about the Hayden Hurst and all of those ones there. It was
Hurst.
Yep.
Hursty.
Yep. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and hit this one. Really need a running back this week, but I don't think anyone is worthy of my number 1 waiver wire priority. What do y'all think?
Who's out there?
Yeah, I was interested to see who was out there on this one.
Yeah. So hit us up. Let us know who's out there, Super C&B, and we'll rock and roll on that. Alrighty. Bill chiming in saying that Diggs is creme de la creme. And Git saying I got Diggs because I traded Monty and AJ Brown like last week.
Wow.
I mean, if you had Monty, you were definitely hit with that injury bug on that one. So
now things make sense. Now 1 in 5 is starting to make sense, kids.
Yeah, I'm not.
Dang.
Like you
can make a run, man. The 12
you really
so
can.
There's at least
Man,
4
really
teams
can.
making a run. Most of these teams are probably 3-2 or 3-3, maybe 4-2. Like it looks like a hill. You just got to catch a little bit of fire. I think you have the roster to do it, and you just have to be patient with it.
And I think you got a heck of a deal off of Monty and AJ Brown for Stephon Diggs. Like somebody gave that to you on the cheap. Swavey's just saying that he just wants to say this channel is underrated. Keep it up, guys. We will. Thanks you very much for those kind words there. Any Kyle Pitts believers out there? Not this season. Dynasty, yes. This season, no. Any other thoughts on that one?
I'm holding out hope.
Holding hope.
I am too. In my league with my high school buddies, I need Kyle Pitts to. I spent a lot of money in the auction draft on Kyle Pitts.
Zeke or Connor?
Ooh, we'll address this. We'll address this later in the show.
Alrighty,
later in the show.
Alex has a call lined up for you on that one. And Super C and B, as far as that waiver priority for the running back, big waiver names of the week, maybe like Latavius Murray, Kenyon Drake, Pacheco, etc. I really like what Latavius Murray can do.
Yeah, and I think he is kind of. I don't know if he's the new shiny toy for Hackett, but like he was utilized a ton,
and he looked good
for the 12 runs that the Broncos had. He had a majority of them. Yeah, I think if you really need a running back, either one of those top two, I think is probably. Look, we're getting to the point where there aren't a lot of major waiver claims left, right?
Right.
Like, so I understand you not wanting to waste that number 1 waiver claim, but if not now, when? And I'm not sure if you desperately need a running back. Like, those are 2 legitimate options with Murray and Drake. So, like, I understand not wanting to get rid of that that number 1 waiver claim, but those are 2 pretty good. Okay. I'm not. I think I would lean
Lat or Kendrick.
I think I would lean more towards Drake.
I'm going Lat Murray on this one.
I think I'm going Latavius too. Drake had that big game last week, which it helps.
A little deceiving because he had that massive breakaway run too.
Yeah, the biggest downside with Latavius Murray is he doesn't catch passes. Kenyon Drake will, right? So that's where Drake does kind of even it up, is he'll catch some balls. So I'm not opposed to Kenyon Drake. I'll put a claim in for, if you have the roster space, put a claim in for both. See if you get them both. I mean, go Drake first and Latavius Murray second.
Right. And Super C&B, something else to kind of address there when you're talking about number 1 waiver priority. Yes, it's tough to give that up and go after some of these guys like this when you're not necessarily, feeling warm and fuzzy about them rest of season, being a top guy out there. But at the same time too, right, you got to look at this from a standpoint. Sometimes you got to win a week. And sometimes, winning that week is more important than carrying on the number 1 waiver priority for 2 or 3 weeks. So, at that point, I get the want to hang on to that, but I also get the, you got to win these games. And sometimes it comes down to, you got to steal one here and there. Francisco, would you trade Lockett and Dillon for Higgs?
I don't think you have to get that much to get Higgins. Like, he's coming off of, he's probably at his lowest point in the season. And even at a high point, I don't know that I'm giving up a 2-for-1 for Higgins. So I'd be really leaning on him to try and go straight up and see if you can get Higgins for Lockett with the way that they've played so far. And maybe that's not quite enough, but then you need to give up something maybe a bit less advantageous than Dylan, like Raheem Mostert or something of that nature. Right. Melvin Gordon, something like that.
Yeah, I like it. All righty, let's go ahead and hit up the Thursday night touchdown dance here. We're going to go ahead and hit that one up, then we're going to come back.
Hold on.
What's up? Which one are you seeing? Oh, wow. You got hammered on this one.
Well, good thing is Mitchell's coming back. Harris will come back.
Yep.
Najee, you just hope that they find a way to keep utilizing.
Dude, how stoked were you on draft night?
Yeah.
Right, like that's one of those you walk away from that draft feeling really good. And who knows, maybe Cam Akers will find a new home and somebody will utilize him and give him a workload.
Man, how stoked I would have been on draft night. It's like the Pirates of the right now you're that Pirates of the Caribbean scene where the guy's walking down the steps of the ship and the whole ship's just exploding behind him.
Right.
That's oh man. So you had to have been on top of the world 6-7 weeks ago.
All righty. Let's go ahead and hit up the Thursday night football touchdown dance here. And so for Thursday night football touchdown dance, this is a game we play over on Monkey Knife Fight. You can play along with us. Use the promo code GOBFF when signing up. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 when using that code for first-time depositors over there on monkeyknifefight.com. And with the touchdown dance, you pick 3 players and you call your shot on who's scoring touchdowns, how many touchdowns you think that they'll score. If they score more than 2.5 points, you call that. It's a ×2 prize. Score more than 3.5 touchdowns, it's a ×3 prize, and more than 4.5 touchdowns, it's a ×6 prize. And you got to call your shot on which prize you think. So, guys, who you taking here and who you playing with for touchdown dancing?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, and Zach Ertz.
Nice. I've gone with Kyler, Taysom Hill, and Zach Ertz.
Okay, well, I'll be slightly different. I'm going to go with Kyler, Kamara, and DeAndre Hopkins scores a TD in his triumphant return here. Actually, you know what, Kevin? I really like that Taysom Hill. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. Taysom Hill, Kamara, and Hopkins.
It's just something to be different, right? And I'm just going ×2 here. Like, I don't think it's going to be crazy, but I think it's something fun, something different.
Right. So we all think that Hill is finding the end zone on this one. You guys both think that Ertz is finding the end zone, and Kevin and I think that Kamara is finding the end zone. The outliers being Kyler and Hopkins, only one of us taking each one of those guys there. So again, guys, this is a game that you can play along with us over on monkeyknifefight.com. Use the promo code GOBFF to get a up to 100% deposit match. A 100% deposit match on deposits up to $100 for new depositors playing over there on monkeyknifefight.com. Use that promo code GOBFF. All right, let's go ahead and hit up some more comments here because we got a few of them in here. Kenyon Drake, Gus Edwards. I'm assuming that means rest of season on that one. I'm still going to take Kenyon Drake. He looked good, popped a little bit. Gus Edwards still coming off of a massive injury. We want to see what he looks like before we go that route.
Fact. Take the healthy guy.
Alex, any different opinion? All right. Mr. COD saying he doesn't know what his opponent's doing. Lawrence, Hunt, Jones, Cup on bye, Davis on bye, Saubert, Samuel, Koo. The Colts and his bench is Moore, Schultz, Sanders, Swift, Dillon. Asking, should I be worried? Well, as far as what she's doing, he just hadn't set a lineup yet.
Yeah, it's just Tuesday. A lot of guys don't look at this thing until Wednesday. They really don't. So, but
I go in on Thursday and I optimize my lineups as the first go around, right? Like I hit Tuesday and I just look waiver wires and I'm doing that kind of stuff. I start optimizing my lineups on Thursday. as we get set into Thursday night games there, and then again, take a look at it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning there. So, should you be worried? I think you've got a shot on that one. The fact that you're going up against somebody when they're, I don't even care what Moore it is that they've got on their bench. If it's Elijah Moore, DJ Moore, having to substitute in for a wide receiver there, so you'll play a Moore, a Sanders, they'll get Swift in there. I think you've got a realistic shot of winning that game, Mr. COD. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I agree.
Okay. Alrighty. Terrence, lineup in a 12-person league this week will be Brady, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra, Godwin, Hurst, Travis Etienne, the Broncos D, McPherson. Should I make any changes?
Well, he's got his bench too.
I didn't see his bench.
He just
there it is. Bench is Rashad White, Dotson, inactives with Deshaun Watson, AJ Brown, Jameis Williams. Should I pick up and stash Drake and James Cook? I'm not looking to stash James Cook at this point. Kenyon Drake, I don't mind taking a flyer on.
You can pick up Murray or Hines as well.
Right. And he's able to pick up Murray, Hines, and Drake.
I think I'm sitting pat where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a bad starting lineup there.
No, I think you'll be all right there. I don't know that I'm making any changes to that one, especially if everybody's ready to go and they're playing and they're healthy. I'm gonna roll as is how you got that set, Terrence.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's go ahead and we're hitting some more questions here. Again, guys, out there, one of the best ways to support this independent podcast, head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button on the YouTube, hit the like button, all that good stuff there. Gets asking pick up Murray, Algier, or Drake. Again, I'm going with Lat Murray on this one. Murray, Algier, Drake. Who you like for a pickup?
Yeah. Man, Murray and Drake in the same week just kind of sucks if you're looking for RB depth. You'd love for it to have been different weeks so you're not having to choose between them.
I put in claims for both. See if you can get both.
As I say, you're definitely putting in claims for both or even all three, even if it's just for dropping the same guy to try and ensure that you're getting one of them.
Make sure you get at least one. Yeah.
I'm probably leaning. I think I need to change. I think I'm leaning Drake, Murray, and then Algier just because I at least can have a little bit of faith in Baltimore's offensive line. Like Latavius Murray looked like he had some pop, but the Broncos' offensive line is so bad right now that
terrible.
It's hard to have pop when you're getting smacked 2 yards in.
Right. Well, I even think back to the week that Lat Murray started with the Saints. What was that, two weeks ago? Yeah, he had pop in that game too and looked good in that one. So, would you drop McKissick for any of those guys?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I would agree. Alrighty.
Especially with Brian Robinson back, Rivera coming out right after the game and saying they need to get Gibson the ball a little bit more. Like I think they realize that Gibson is a better version of J.D. McKissick. And if you're going to have Brian Robinson run between the tackles and you have Antonio Gibson to fill that J.D. McKissick role, Gibson's a better piece for that. So, yeah, I would have no issues doing that.
Super C&B saying sleeping on Olave. Not on this show, we're not.
That was for the
touchdown dance.
Yeah,
the touchdown dance.
Yeah, that's all that was for.
Okay.
But Olave may not play, so that's a gamble. So as of Tuesday, when we're not sure if Olave is going to play, that's where we're going.
I'm thinking he plays. It's the fact that Andy Dalton's throwing the ball. I'd feel better if Jameis was throwing it. I know that Andy Dalton has his lone touch, or Chris Olave is his only touchdown off Andy Dalton. I get that, but all right. Donald Trump's hair, 0.5 point PPR. over on YouTube. I'm 2-4, about to trade Mahomes, Aaron Jones for Ken Walker and Kyler. Am I crazy? I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it, but I don't think you're crazy because Kyler's tempting.
I'd be looking to try to unload Jeff Wilson.
Yep.
If you're going to look at unloading somebody.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Chris over on YouTube. Hey, guys, any suggestions for waiver wire moves? Here's his team. Eckler, Benjamin, wide receiver, quarterbacks is a question mark. Wide receivers, Waddle, Dobbs, tight ends, Andrews, Flex, Aaron Jones, Murray. The bench is Hurts, Thielen on bye, Renfro, Carter, Taysom Hill. The bye week's got things looking messy, he says.
So who do you have quarterback-wise? Like, who's available quarterback-wise? Because obviously that's the thing you're going to have to address with Hurts on a bye. So who's available QB-wise?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ryan, Garoppolo, and Trevor Lawrence is who's available there.
So we kind of talked about this earlier. I leaned more Matt Ryan. The other two went with Trevor Lawrence, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Trevor Lawrence is not a bad pickup for this week. Otherwise, just understand that this is a really tough week because there are 4 fantasy relevant teams on buys. It just might be a week where I understand that, you might be trying to go undefeated, but it just might be a week where you have to eat it because there are 4 very good teams on bye, and you don't want to do something crazy that'll cost you the rest of the season in order to get 1 week win. Now, I know that goes against what Derek was saying earlier in this show about sometimes you got to win a week, but 1 week does not make a championship. So I understand.
Right, but what I was saying that it was in reference to a waiver wire, right? Like you don't want to necessarily drop somebody to go out and win a week. Like, there's some of that sometimes you got to take the L on that to preserve the season.
Right. And that's what I think you might have to do here. Although I think you get a quarterback and you're okay. You're going to have to get a quarterback.
Like which Carter is that? Is that DeAndre Carter that you've got on the bench there? I'm guessing so. And if that's the guy, I'm going to drop him. I'm going to grab a quarterback and I'm going to rock and roll that thing, and you'll be perfectly fine there.
Yeah, and realistically, you might be able to get rid of Taysom Hill and be okay too.
Hill, I'm not necessarily looking to drop just with him being the 3rd tight end out there. You can probably go out and find somebody, trade partner, and he's a nice little cherry on top to improve your team, something like that. So Mike Carter is who the Carter is on that one. So I don't know that changes much for me on that one with it being Michael Carter. It looks like that is Breece Hall's backfield at this point in the season. So
yeah.
I mean, I'd probably be fine dropping Michael Carter at that point and going out and getting a QB, and I would lean with Trevor Lawrence on that one.
Yeah, so. Just understand, it's not going to be your best effort, but it's just 1 week.
I don't know. I think you've got plenty of firepower. The rest of those things, right? Andrews, big difference maker. Waddle can be a difference maker at the wide receiver. Aaron Jones.
We think Tua is going to play, so Waddle goes up incredibly.
Right. I mean, he even looked good last week with old Teddy Two Gloves under there. Yeah. Eckler can be a difference maker for you there too. So you've got enough firepower in there that I think you can still get by on that one. What RB is an option to trade for if I package J.K. Dobbins and A.J. Dillon? Thinking Kareem Hunt, ETN owner said no.
Oh, but here's why. Go to his next comment, Derek. Here's the reason why he's trying to do this.
Trying to make a space for Deshaun Watson stash. Could target a wide receiver for that package as well, I guess. So what players would you be going out there and trying to target with an A.J. Dillon, J.K. Dobbins move?
Let
me look.
Yeah. Brian Robinson, possibly.
Yep.
I'm not a Kareem Hunt believer. With the way Nick Chubb's playing, I just don't think that he's living up to that here at the moment. And just because the ETN owner said no doesn't mean you couldn't find another one that says yes. Elijah Mitchell, right? If you wanted to try and gamble on that one, Elijah Mitchell, you could possibly Kenneth Walker. You could Devin Singletary. Something in that neighborhood. You might be able to get CEH.
CEH, yeah. I mean, you probably after
maybe.
that last performance, you probably could.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe like something like that.
The Alvin Kamara, manager might be frustrated enough. Like the last 2 weeks are going to be tough off of that one. But had you made that
Zeke,
Zeke is who I was looking at. Zeke wouldn't be.
Damian Harris, I wouldn't even mind making a move like that for.
I see if the Mixon owner wants to talk.
You're not getting Mixon for that mix.
That doesn't hurt to ask.
That's true. That is true. I mean, Jamal Williams might not even be a bad bet there.
Yeah, there are a few options out there, Swavey. There are a few options.
Jamal Williams, you're going to see his value come way down, or perceived value, I think, go way down when you see DeAndre Swift come back this week, and you may get that manager, blinking a little bit. But we've seen Jamal Williams be very relevant in the red zone for Detroit there. So, and Bill, no, I did not get a Waller question. I must have missed that one in all of that. If you can repost it, if not, I'll try and go and try and find it on that one. Swavey saying Devin Singletary, Zeke, Brian Robinson, Damian Harrison. The Mixon owner is a homer. So no, not
you are not getting Mixon then.
Yes.
But maybe don't ask.
Yes. So
I think Zeke wouldn't be a terrible.
Yeah, you're just not that you're grasping at straws, but I mean you're trying to find the right partner. And just because it's not ETN doesn't mean you can't find it. You just have to be diligent and kind of go through and see what people have and what they can do, what they're willing to do. The Monty owner might do it, honestly. Right. Like he might be frustrated enough.
Yeah, I mean that's very well could be. Wide receivers. I'd see if I could throw out a wide receiver, see if I could go get like Gabe Davis. Right, like I get he's going to be a splash play guy a little bit more so here or there, but I mean that could be something that you could potentially go that route there. I don't know that you can get much higher than that, but wouldn't be a bad thought there. So, Swavey saying thanks guys, great insight. And then Bill's asking thoughts on Waller second half of the season. Do you see the resurgence of Darren Waller, or are we seeing more of the same from the Waller?
I think he comes back to the norm or the median a little bit, but I don't think you're going to see the Darren Waller of last year or 2 years ago. Devontae just demands too much attention, right? And Renfro's healthy again. You had Mac Hollins kind of splash play out. If this Josh Jacobs deal is for real and they're actually going to try and run the wheels off of him here a little bit, like I just don't know that they're creative enough to continuously get Waller the option. So he's going to be more tight end dependent than he's ever been. You're not going to see these games where he has 9, 10, 11 targets like he did last year that kind of vaulted him up into that top, 3 or 4 area of tight ends. So I think it gets better. He's had a pretty rough start here for the first third of the season, but I'm not banking on him being elite. He's a jag at this point. Just another guy.
Yeah. Alex, any thoughts on that one? I'm right there with you, Kevin. I think that this is going to be a touchdown dependent tight end there, right? Like, most targets we've seen is 8 targets in a game, and that's about it, right? He's coming off of where he missed, he had the bye, he missed the week before that due to injury, and then he's coming off of 2 straight games with about 2.5 points for you in PPR. And I don't know that we're going to see him, to Kevin's point, I don't think we're going to see him jump up into that 15 points a game average type of thing, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him get closer to that, 7, 8, 9 points per game type of deal. And I think that's probably about where you're going to see him kind of cap out, and that's where he'll probably play rest of the season there for you. All righty, guys, let's go ahead and we're going to move on over into the pines and the shines here. And we've got some pines, and that's where we'll start. So for everybody out there, the pine is where we go through and we call our shot on somebody that is not going to live up to their expectations this week out there for fantasy. Let's hit it up. And Alex, who you got for the pine?
All right, I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin this week. No Carson Wentz. And they named Taylor Heineke the starting quarterback, right? And he's got some starts under his belt. Solid NFL quarterback, as in he has played before. But the Packers defense against the pass is really good. And so I'm saying no Scary Terry.
No to Scary Terry. Man. Go ahead, Derek. I'm choking on this one here just a little bit.
That's one.
Of course it is. I almost double clicked it so much so that we had 2 right there. All right. So my pine is going to be Deontay Johnson going up against the Miami defense. Miami is ranked 17th against opposing wide receivers in total points allowed. However, which isn't great, but it's also, about 5% less than the kind of the average at the position there. Now, you look at the fact too that, Kenny Pickett may start. Kenny Pickett may not start. We're going to see what this one looks like and see how he progresses through the concussion protocol on this as well. But it's not going to surprise me to see Deontay Johnson have much more of the same, where we see him get a ton of targets out there, and he goes out and gets 7, 8, 9 targets and catches 5, 6, 7 of those, but he gets all of like 40 yards when it's all said and done. So I think you're going to be very disappointed unless Deontay Johnson can find a way to fall into the end zone on this one. And even then, consensus rankings has him up there at like wide receiver 18 this week. I have a hard time believing, wide receiver 19 is his consensus ranking. I have a hard time believing that he gets that high.
Yeah. No, I like that. I'm going to say pine TJ Hawkinson. The Cowboys are currently second in the league against tight ends. This pass rush is going to be ferocious. I think to try and slow that down, Hawkinson is going to be stuck in line and pass blocking more than route running this game. So you want to pine TJ Hawkinson.
I like it. All righty. Let's go ahead and we're going to move on to the shine. So the shine is the opposite of the pine. We're looking to absolutely blow some performances out of the water this week. Guys that are going to exceed expectation, guys that are going to have good games here. Let's go ahead and start it off. Alex, hit us up with your shine.
All right, my shine this week is one Zeke Elliott. Had a pretty good week last week, and that was against a very good Eagles defense. Detroit's run defense is the worst in the league, so I'm gonna call Zeke and watch Tony Pollard get all the carries. But I'm saying Zeke this week.
Alrighty, I like it. Kevin, who do you got for your shine?
Jalen Waddle going up against a poor Steelers defense. I don't know that it really matters whether it is Tua coming back or whether you get Teddy Two Gloves here. I think Jalen Waddle is going to have a great week.
I like that one. I could absolutely see that one happening there as well. My my shine is a guy that's buried a little bit, but he's popular on the waiver wire today, and that is Latavius Murray for the Broncos here. Yeah, one of those that we've seen him have some pop. We've seen him look pretty good so far on the season, and I think that continues here a little bit. So right now, Latavius Murray down there at running back 35 as far as the expert consensus goes on this one, which puts him in that RB3 potential flex category. And I think he's definitely able to play a flex for you. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him, jump up in there and end up playing pretty decent for you to the point where we will see a, worth a potential start there at a flex for you. So, alrighty, guys. Any other thoughts on the Pines and the Shines?
No, I think I like our chances here. I think we're getting this honed in here a little bit. We need to start going on a run here for everybody.
Absolutely. Let's make that happen and get some things going there. Alrighty. So we got some more comments coming in here. Bill saying right on that helps. That was in reference to the Waller thoughts there. Terrence asking Amon-Ra, Godwin, AJ Brown, Dotson, Jameson Williams. Should I go after Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyquan Thornton? Tyquan Thornton's got that otherworldly type of speed that they've been manufacturing some touches for. But if the question is, should I drop one of these guys to go after some of these? I mean, yeah, I don't know that I can sign off on that one. So, any other thoughts on that? Okay.
No.
Swavey, what do you guys say about McLaurin? Maybe I trade JK and Dylan for him. LOL. Well, if you buy into what Alex is saying, you might want to wait until after this week. Alex is calling for him to have a pine on this one, not have a very good game, so you may get better value on that one there.
I've been pretty good about my Pines. I've been pretty good on the Pines.
Yeah. Alrighty, so Swavey saying, real question. Jameson Williams is coming off my IR soon. I will be forced to drop someone when he's declared ready to go.
Unless you've got the roster spot, yes, you're going to have to drop somebody.
Right, that goes on to that. What tier of players do you project him as far as production this year, or is this a wait and see kind of vibe? This one here for me is a little bit of wait and see. I've got Jameson Williams in the home league, and I think he's one of the best wide receivers that we saw come out of this class. But typically you see these guys have to adjust to the speed of the game a little bit. You see these guys typically coming off of an ACL tear, usually need about a year to 2 years out in a lot of cases for them to really trust things and get things going on that one. So I think he'll have some splash plays here and there, but I don't know that he's going to be like phenomenal for your fantasy roster rest of the season.
Like consistency is going to be tough for him, right? It's going to be tough.
Right. But I mean, even if he puts up like the Josh Reynolds type of production for you out of that same offense there, right? Like that's a guy that we're probably not going to see Josh Reynolds see the field much when Jameson Williams comes back, because you're most likely to be seeing DJ Chark, Amon-Ra, and Jameson Williams out there running on 11 personnel. So, I mean, Josh Reynolds still putting up wide receiver 30 numbers on the season, right? Like he's had some splash games here or there. And I think that's probably where you see Jameson kind of top out there, is kind of that wide receiver 3 type of range.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to see Jameson Williams even get to that point, honestly. Like St. Brown dominates the targets there. Yes, I think if anything, he's going to help take the top off the defense. So he's going to be really, really boom bust. I don't think you're going to see him with a ton of targets. The Lions are going to watch his snap count even after he comes back. So it's going to be really tough sailing. And even after he comes off, you're not going to put him in your starting lineup, right? Like he's the guy to drop. Like, yeah, you hold on to him just in case there's some injury, right? If Chark goes down or if St. Brown goes down, then he has some relevance. But as long as – and Reynolds, like you said, too. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for Jameson to carve out his niche here in year one.
And add on top of that, too, how much work has he gotten with Jared Goff? Like how ready is he? How on the same page is he now? Now he might know the playbook better than anybody else because that's all he's really been able to do for a couple weeks, right? But the playbook is one thing. The receiver game so much now is being on the same page and seeing the same thing that the quarterback is seeing, right? Like, so who knows how immersed he is in understanding those coverages and everything and what's being asked of him. And the other thing, Jared Goff, not really a huge thrower of the football down the field. And that's where Jameson Williams really shines, right? So it's tough. But if it's a dynasty, you're going to want to hold on to that one. But if it's a redraft, bye.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's kind of where we're seeing him. Swavey is kind of top end ceiling is a wide receiver 3 type of play this year as far as what we're kind of saying there, but likely lower than that as well. All right. Bill, I'm starting Jimmy Garoppolo versus Kansas City this week. Has Josh Allen and Diggs on bye. He's undefeated thus far, but will likely lose.
Maybe. You never know. Jimmy might throw out a game.
Could, and this is actually a game that you could see that where San
also might
Francisco
throw
has
out
to
his
throw
back.
Well, that's also true
fair.
too.
I think the likelihood, I think it's a 50-50, right? Like
that could very well coin flip that. You're right.
Yeah,
all right.
Jimmy's just one of those guys. He's a much better NFL quarterback than he is a fantasy quarterback.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So you would think that, they're going to have to throw the ball a bit to keep up with Kansas City. So that is the good thing about starting Jimmy G, right? Like, it's just about the consistency, right? Can he find the holes, and can he drive the ball down the field the way that Josh Allen did? And not that he's, the same arm talent, but he has Ayuk, who had a really good game last week. Debo's number 9, wide receiver number 9 right now, year to date. So, I mean, he's got some weapons around him to help with this.
Maybe they catch Kansas City on a hangover, Maybe they catch KC on a hangover.
Or they catch the pissed off Kansas City team that just lost a game.
Again, coin flip.
So, yeah, it's not the greatest option, Bill, but, I mean, heck, you got Josh Allen and Diggs on the bye, so.
Again, this is one of those weeks, like, when you were drafting and you saw bye weeks for all your guys, and you were like, oh, week 7 is going to be really tough. Here we are.
Yep. So, alrighty. Bill also saying Jimmy G is definitely a juggernaut, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, at least in this game, you get a matchup where the game script looks like the Niners are going to have to throw the ball to try and stay in it. So at least you've got that kind of going forward as far as how I'm seeing the game script going on that one. Terrence saying he's not dropping any of those guys. This is back in reference to the Amon-Ra, Godwin, Brown, to go after Wandale or Tyquan Thornton. Just 2 available bench spots to grab, 2 waiver ads. He can drop the Colts, Jackson, can possibly go after Drake, Murray, Thornton. I'd go after
Drake and Murray.
I would put waiver claims in on all on 3 guys out of that list between Drake, Murray, and Wandale. I would make a claim on each one of those guys. Prioritize Drake and Murray over Wandale there, but Wandale's been getting good usage out there when he's played, when he's been healthy. This is this regime's guy that they went out and brought in. They found a way to kind of manufacture some touches for him here and there, but I think he'll do some decent things down the stretch, but he's never going to be much more than a flex play for you, I don't think. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, coastline.
Cool. Randy over on YouTube just traded Deontay Johnson and I got Travis Etienne. Did I win? Yes, I think you did. Current 12-person team, PPR, Burrow, Mixon, Walker, Evans, Higgins, Waller, Etienne, bench, Thielen, London. I like that roster.
Are you from Cincinnati, Randy?
I
don't see anything wrong with that, right?
There's nothing wrong
trying
with
to
that.
figure out where Deontay's truly going to fit in with Kenny Pickett. makes sense, right? So Etienne's been improving as of late, right? He's slowly kind of getting up to the level that a lot of people thought he could be at. Still a little bit of ways to go here, but I think they're going in opposite directions. So you're getting Etienne on the upswing and you're getting rid of Deontay kind of on the downward slide here. So I like it.
Facts. Alrighty. Kona K808 Giants. Can you believe the start? They keep winning. Wide receivers rest of the season. Wandale startable. Can anyone else be a wide receiver 1?
Can I believe the start? No.
The problem, yeah, it's impressive, right? The Giants have to throw the ball to somebody. So Wandale Robinson is I don't know if he's startable week in and week out.
Flex is about where I see his ceiling.
Flexes, that type of thing. He's worth that. The problem is he's only 5'8", right? And in the NFL, typically these, and he is tiny for wide receivers, don't hold up very well.
He'd be tiny for a corner. He's going up against corners that are going to be.
But getting in the slot, he's going to play out of the slot, though. He's not playing out wide. So he's playing in the slot. They're going to be off coverage, that type of thing. So he'll have some space to work with. It's not like he's, trying to go up against corners that are, 6'1", 6'2", with 6'5" wingspans. That's not who he's going up against. So, I think he's worth a stash, right? You want to see what the kid can do. Obviously, Kadarius Toney and Kenny Golladay have both been bit by the injury bug and aren't participating. Sterling Shepard's out because of the injury he suffered a few weeks ago. So, they got to throw it to somebody. So you might as well have Robinson on your bench. And if he turns out to be, kind of that fantasy darling here for the back half, good on you. But I'm not expecting that type of performance. I'm thinking it's like Rondell Moore cut in half kind of thing.
Oh, they're about the same size.
Well, volume-wise. Like, he's not going to see the 9-10 targets a game that Moore's seeing. The Giants don't throw the ball that much. It runs through Saquon. So
absolutely,
his targets are going to be limited to 4 to 6 targets a game. It's just whatever he can make the most of.
Here's one for you. How upset are the Giants going to be when they've got to bring back Daniel Jones as their quarterback next year, because they've taken themselves probably already out of the quarterback sweepstakes coming up in the NFL draft?
Nah, there's enough of them. They'll be just fine.
All right.
They'll find somebody. 2nd or 3rd round, cheaper.
There you go. Swavey asking, trade Michael Pittman or T. Higgins for Jalen Waddle.
If you can get that straight up, abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that you're going to need to package something onto either one of those guys to go get Jalen Waddle.
I would agree.
Yeah. And between the two, I would be moving T. Higgins over Michael Pittman. I'd probably look at, trying to go T. Higgins for Jalen Waddle and then, seeing if they'll counter and you can get something else added onto that to swing that in your favor there. All righty. Angel over on YouTube, Tua or Geno as a backup QB going forward. They have Lamar, but unsure who they want to drop of the two of them.
I would rather have Tua than Geno.
Cosign.
Now, I want to hold on to that. Like, if you have to make a decision this week, that stinks a little bit. But realistically, if Tua is cleared, which he is on track to be cleared and play the Sunday night game, I'd rather have Tua. He was playing really, really good football before he got concussed in back-to-back weeks and was forced to sit out. So I'd rather have Tua than Geno.
Right. Well, and that Miami offense has better pieces on it than what Seattle does. So I want the quarterback that's got more weapons too. So I like it. Randy, kind of see Etienne taking that Breece Hall type role. Breece slowly took over that Jets backfield, and I'm hoping Etienne will do the same in Jacksonville. I don't know that we're going to necessarily see that. You're going to see Breece Hall can be the thumper in there. Michael Carter's never going to be the thumper with the Jets, whereas the opposite kind of holds true in Jacksonville. James Robinson is a great downhill runner between the tackles kind of guy, and that's where you're going to see him utilized and all of that, whereas you'll see Etienne them trying to get him into space and make things happen and some passing there. What other thoughts we got on this?
Well, Doug Peterson likes to have that mix of backs, right?
True.
Like he had the success in Philly when he had a mix of backs. He had, bruisers and speedsters. So, I think everybody who drafted ETN last year in the dynasty leagues and this year, thinking that he was going to take the reins, that's not really Doug Peterson's MO.
Right. Actually, I like this comp that Swavey put in the chat here, saying that ETN closer to Pollard than Brees in his opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's more dynamic. I think they'll find better ways to get him the ball just because you don't have a all-pro caliber sitting in front of him like Pollard did the first few years of his career. So ETN's going to be more dynamic than Tony Pollard is, but really the thing with ETN is touches, right? Like he's currently sitting between, 13 to 15 touches a game. Most of those are rushing plays. Really, if you can almost flip it, like if you could get him 7-8 rushes a game and 7 targets a game, or 7 catches a game, I think you'd be more successful in Jacksonville. So that's where ETN's true value comes in, is in these PPR leagues.
Yeah, I mean, you see him, even rush to the ball. He's running at 5.6 yards a clip the last 2 games, over 7 yards a clip in both of those. So, he's even getting the job done when he gets the opportunity to run the ball as well. Swavey was saying that he can see Wandle averaging 5 receptions a game, maybe 3 touchdowns. I think he maybe sees 6 targets is kind of where I put his ceiling on that one. Kona saying that it makes sense, and he liked the comp that you gave with Wandell and Rondell there. Terrence, should I pick up Claypool, Duvernay, Sky Moore off of waivers?
I'd rather have Claypool. I'm not a believer in Devin Duvernay. And Sky Moore, we've seen how this Kansas City offense is going to act. Some weeks Sky Moore might see 6 targets. Other weeks he's going to see 2. I think I'd rather own Claypool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Kona saying ETN, Wandell, and Rondell 5'9" and under league champs.
There you go.
I like it.
The short kings.
Yes, absolutely. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll be back on Friday going through all the props, going through the lines, all of that, hitting that one up. And of course, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. In between, what did I miss there, Alex?
Nothing. We'll have to talk later because I think you might be solo on Friday.
Maybe. Very well could be. So, Swavey saying that you guys are the best. Jacob saying we missed this question. Sorry, let's hit that one up.
Let's get Jacob, your question.
Who would you rather roster as a bench running back in a 14-team league, McKissick or Edmonds?
I'll say McKissick because I have McKissick in one of our leagues. I'm in I think it's in the home league. I've got McKissick.
I want to say Edmonds, the offense is more dynamic, and at least there's a chance he falls in the end zone. Most weeks, there's not really even a chance McKissick gets there.
I don't think I have McKissick after this week, though.
There's also a chance that the guy in front of Edmonds, who's had a history of health aversion, doesn't finish the season. So I'll take Edmonds under that assumption there as well.
Just kidding.
Sorry,
it's not McKissick. It was McKinnon.
Okay. Sorry we missed that one, Jacob, but that's how we would rock and roll that one. Swavey saying you guys are the best. Bill saying have a good one. And Bill's also fanning your hat there, Kevin.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to do it for us. We'll have a show on Friday where we'll be going through lines and props and all of that good stuff. So check it out, 11 p.m. Eastern on Friday there. You can check us out in the meantime. Send us questions, all that good stuff on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. Guys, what are our final thoughts out there for the evening?
Good luck. Navigate. This week's a little brutal because of the teams that are on bye week, right? So, those of us who invested heavily in the Bills and the Eagles and the Vikings and Rams are I'm not going to say paying the price. We're getting it out of the way here, but we knew this was going to be a tough week here. But You're getting it out of the way relatively early as far as bye weeks are concerned, and then you're onto the home stretch. So it's just 1 week. Don't panic. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll try and help you out best we can.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for everybody that drafted well. Fortunately, I did not, so I'm in the clear this week. I'm good.
There you go. All righty, guys. Again, best way to support this independent podcast over on YouTube, the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button, hit the like button on this thing. Drop us comments on that as well. We'll answer questions over there too in the comments. In between these live streams there. So, for Kevin and Alex, I'm Derek. Have a good one.